Nobody wants to do it? Okay, let's do it. The pound for pound list on ESPN is garbage. I turn like doorknobs. I'm going to explain why in this video. What up, Fight World? It's your boy Ego, and I'm back with some more boxing. This current pound for pound list is grade A horse-ish. So I got some questions, and this is only one. This is only the beginning. This is the first video in what will be a series, a mini series. I'm gonna do a mini series like Roots, right? So for several reasons, and this is just one of them. I could give you 1,000. I got 1,001 reasons, but this is just one of them. So Artur Beterbiev wasn't on the pound for pound ESPN list, the last one they did, which was less than a month ago. And then mysteriously and magically, Artur Beterbiev is on the list. So you would have to ask yourself, if he wasn't on the list, the last one you did, how did he appear on this list at number 7 out of nowhere, right? What changed? Okay, he knocked out Joe Smith Jr., right? Joe Smith Jr. knocked him out 2 rounds, great performance. But wait, there's more. Bivol just beat Canelo, who the same people that wrote these lists said was number 1 pound for pound. And currently, they still have Canelo ranked number 4. Keep in mind that Dimitri Bivol had already fought and beaten Joe Smith Jr. years before. So how do you get on the list for beating a guy who already lost to the guy, and then you have a guy like Bivol who they put him behind Beterbiev, right? Put him behind Beterbiev, but he had beaten Canelo, who was number 1 on ESPN's list. They said, ESPN said, Canelo pay, you want a. They said he was the number 1 fighter in all of boxing. So if Bivol just beat the number 1 guy, and previous to that, he had beaten Joe Smith Jr. when he had less losses, then how does Beterbiev appear on the list simply when he wasn't on the previous list for beating Joe Smith Jr.? Now, some could argue like, oh, Joe Smith Jr., he was a champion. But if you actually know boxing, you'll know there was controversy with Joe Smith Jr. and the performance that made him a champion. So for several, see, that's why you can't look to these lists for any type of solace. So he fought for a vacant WBO belt at light heavyweight last year, 2021. Vacant belt. So you got to know your boxing. This is where the ride gets real trippy. This is where everything gets real tricky. So again, the great thing about me is I got the ultimate poise because I've been here. I've been in boxing. I really know the sport. I really respect the sport, etc. So I can't just look at a list and I know my stuff. You're not going to just throw and like pull the wool over my eyes, a wolf in sheep's clothing. I know who's who in boxing. So if we're saying, oh, Beterbiev, he knocked out, because I know the great thing about being a master at what you do, it's like those martial arts movies. The master can tell you what he's going to do and still do it. And no matter how good the villain is, the master has a way to defeat that villain. You know, you look at a Bruce Lee in the Chinese Connection or something, right? And at the end of the day, I know all their tricks. I studied their craft. I studied my craft. That's why they can't beat me when it comes to making the most sense, rationale, and logic, and of course, being truthful. So some would argue, they'll say, oh, but Beterbiev knocked him out in round 2. In round 2, right? So I'm ranking him higher. But Bivol beat him in 2019 versus Beterbiev beat him this year in 2022. So the reality is that Bivol beat him years ago, and he was still a dangerous fighter because he's a puncher. That's his bag. His punching power was no different. He even hurt Bivol in the last round. So they're going to argue and say, oh, but Joe Smith Jr. got knocked out and it was a one-sided beatdown. But it was also multiple years before Bivol beat him, right? But beyond that, the bigger point is last year he fought for a vacant belt, meaning nobody had that title. Top Rank, pulled strings, made the fight, and he fought for a vacant WBO title against Maxim Vlasov, right? And in that fight, a lot of people thought he lost, but the decision was on his side, and he won a majority decision after 12 rounds. Then he only had one other fight against Steve Geffert, and then he fought Beterbiev and got knocked out. So how do you not be on the list in a month's time, then all of a sudden you make it on the list for beating Joe Smith Jr.? Again, some are going to say, oh, because he was a champion and he dispatched of him quickly. But there's a lot of guys who get guys out of there quick. That's just kind of a stylistic thing, no? Right? Like a Ruslan Provodnikov, he might be able to knock someone out quicker than Floyd Mayweather, but you would never say that Ruslan Provodnikov is more of a pound-for-pound guy than a Floyd Mayweather because he fought the same person and was able to knock him. That, again, that's a stylistic styles make fights type of deal. So that being said, I rate Beterbiev. I like Beterbiev. I'm not even mad that he's on the pound-for-pound list somewhere. But if you're supposed to be putting out a credible list, wouldn't it make sense to make the list make sense? And for so many other reasons, there are too many loopholes when it comes to this list. Bivol behind Beterbiev, but he beat Joe Smith Jr. before Beterbiev. And he just beat the number one person on the list, Canelo, and Canelo ducked the rematch. I mean, this is insane. Drop your thoughts in the comment section. I will be breaking this list down in much more detail. Oh, yeah. Stay tuned and subscribe. And I'm up. Introducing Super Thanks. Right here on the official Boxing Ego YouTube. Super Thanks allows you, the viewers, to show a little bit of extra gratitude, which enables me as a full-time content creator to push out the content you need in the world of boxing. Underneath all the videos, you will see a heart with the $sign in it. You can enter any amount that you find suitable as a super thanks. A brand new interactive and colorful way to get your comments highlighted and noticed by not only myself, but other people on the YouTube platform. Super thanks, a unique and cool way to show and applaud us full-time content creators. Hopefully you guys enjoy the content. Super thanks. The future is now. The Hibernation 5s by Kenichi Bear. Hybrid gaming and lifestyle headphones. Out of the box, you can connect to any console or PC. Bluetooth ready with a low latency USB adapter, color RGB, and extreme bass mode. The Hibernation 5s adjust to you. Whether you need a gaming, travel, gym, or lifestyle headphones, the Hibernations got you covered. The new Hibernation 5s, link in the description. Customize the way you hear the world. Welcome to the nation. Are you tired of your YouTube videos not getting any views? Well, consider TubeBuddy. I've used TubeBuddy for years to scale up my YouTube channel. Now we're sitting over 200,000 subscribers. TubeBuddy is a browser extension that offers a ton of built-in productivity and time-saving services to take your channel to the next level. Use my link in the description to get started with TubeBuddy and level up your channel faster. We working.